Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name's Debbie and this video is going to be a 3 looks 1 palette using this palette, which is the Sosu by Suzanne Jackson Urban Bible palette. I've been promising to do a first impressions or some sort of review with this for a little while if anyone's been watching any other of my videos, and I've just gotten around to doing it, and it's not because I don't want to do it. There's some beautiful shades in here, just got kind of overtaken with other things that I wanted to film. So here we are, I'm filming it today. I'm really excited to do it. If you take this palette and have a look at the back, you've got all of the shades on the back and their names. You've also got the shelf life of the palette there, which is 12 months. The palette is made in China and it is cruelty free. If you slide off the slipcase there, the casing of the palette looks exactly the same as the slipcase. And then open it up, there is a mirror inside, and the mirror folds right back so that you can get to the shades without the mirror being in the way, which I really enjoy that sort of style of palette, so that you can do that. I just find it a lot easier when I'm using shadows and I want to put them down on a desk and look up at a mirror, but also you've still got the mirror there if you need it for travel, so that's a great one for me. I picked this palette up because I saw it on Beauty Bay and I never heard of the brand. I just saw the shades and I was super interested in it because I love it when there's neutrals and colour in a palette, because it makes it more versatile for me and the sort of looks that I like to wear. So I do like bright colourful makeup, I like grungy makeup, I like all different styles. So I think I'll be able to create quite a lot of looks using this one. And it's not too scary for those of you that just like neutrals, because the pops of colour are mainly the shimmers, and I think you could probably just use those as lower lash line colours or in a corner if you didn't want to go too full on with the colour with this palette. But I do like that there's a variation in tones as well. So you've got a white in the palette, you've got a matte black in the palette, which means you're going to be able to darken up any of these other shades that are there. You've got a good ratio of mattes to shimmers, because there's 11 mattes and there's 5 shimmers in the palette. And all your neutrals are arranged so that if you take a line from the white to the black, the neutrals are above and the colours are in this section here. So it's quite cohesive the way it's laid out, so I'm really enjoying that. So far my impressions are really good. I don't know obviously how it's going to perform on my eyes. I've not used it at all. I've been waiting to use it on camera. So I'm going to do 3 looks using this. Probably do a neutral one, a proper out there colourful one, and then maybe a neutral with a pop of colour, so that I'm trying out as many shades as I can to give you a full idea of the sort of looks that you can create with the palette. But let's just hop into the looks and then I'll catch up with you at the end of the video. Okay, so start off look number 1. I've primed my eyes with the MAC Painterly Paint Pot and I've not set the eyeshadow primer, and I'm going in with the shade Sabior as a transition shade. So I'm just lightly diffusing that into my crease using a Sigma E25 blending brush. I like this blending brush to start off a look if I want the crease colour to go from outer to inner corner, because it diffuses it but also packs on quite a lot of colour as well. So I'm going in a few times, packing and blending, and then I've got a precise blender brush and the shade Unruly. And this shade is such a beautiful shade of like maroony brown. I was really impressed with this shade. But I've used that in both my outer and inner corners because I'm going to make this a halo eye. So I'm just packing this on and not really blending it out too much because I don't want to lose the intensity of the colour. So just packing on the outer and inner corners until I get the intensity of that shade that I'm looking for. Then I'm going in with the shade Oath, and I'm just packing that onto my outer corner just to bring a bit more intensity, a bit more dimension to the look. I just wanted to make the outer corner a bit deeper than the inner corner. So I'm just packing that onto my outer corner, just using sort of dabbing motions really. I'm not blending that out too much. Then back in with the shade Unruly, and a lip brush from Urban Decay, which I often use as a lower lash line brush, and I'm just lining that quite close to my lash line and meeting it up with the outer corner and the inner corner. Now to blend and diffuse that lower lash line out, I'm using the shade Sabior again, this time on a fluffy brush, going right into the eye bag area and diffusing that out to give quite a grungy lower lash line. And I'm keeping that as a rounded shape as well, so I'm going around the edges, but I don't want to wing this out at all. I want to keep it as a rounded shape for this halo eye that I'm trying to create. So I'm going right over the top of the crease with that shade and right underneath the lower lash line in a circular sort of motion until I've got that blended out the way I want it to look. Then I'm packing on the colour 1996, just using a flat packing brush. I have sprayed the brush. I was really impressed with the colour payoff of this colour. I thought this is absolutely beautiful. So I've packed that on just to fill the centre part of my lid to create that halo effect. I always go quite high up as well when I'm doing a halo eye, because when my eyes are open, if I don't, you can't see it. So I've gone a little bit higher than my natural crease line. I'm just packing that over to really get a nice foiled effect from that shade. Now I'm going in with the shade Oath, and I'm just intensifying that outer corner using the same brush I did this with before. I just felt like I'd lost some of the intensity in that outer corner, so I just wanted to bring it back and make sure that I got that definition still that I was looking for. And now going in with the shade Prophecy, I just wanted to deepen up my crease, again just to give a bit more depth to the look and just really make that shimmer shade stand out. So I'm going all the way around the halo eye with that shade. And then going in with the white in the palette, the shade is called Veil. I've just added a little bit of an inner corner highlight. I wasn't too happy with the way this looked though, because it didn't really brighten up the look as much as I intended. Then I'm just going in with a pencil in my lower lash line, or my waterline should I say, just a brown pencil from Urban Decay. Always find this quite difficult to show on camera, so I hope you can see what I'm doing, but I'm just literally just lining my lower lash line there and getting some of it in my eye by the looks of it. Then I'm going in with my Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara for my upper lashes. A few coats of that. I always have to be really careful when I haven't done an eyeliner. I always end up getting mascara onto my lids if I'm not careful, so I'm being really careful. And I've used the same mascara for this look on my lower lashes as well. And then I've paired the look with a velour liquid lipstick from Jeffree Star. This is one of my favourites. It's the shade Androgyny. And I think this really brings out the pink tones from that colour Unruly that we laid down in the outer and inner corners for the eye look. And that's the finished look. To start look 2, I'm going in with the shade Sacrifice. Again, I've got an unset base and I've used the Painterly Paint Pot by MAC. I'm going in with a precise shader brush and I'm literally packing that colour into my crease. I'm not blending it at all yet, I'm just laying down the shade to get a really deep dark crease that I want for this look. Doing the same thing on the other eye. Just laying down as much of that shade as I can to get a really dark, deep crease there to start the look off. Then going in with the shade Sacred Fire. This is a beautiful red shade. I'm going 50% on the colour Sacrifice and 50% on my skin so that I can blend that out and create a gradient. I love how those two colours blended together. It was almost effortless to get those to blend and become a gradient that I wanted. So they were probably two of the most impressive shades in the palette for me actually. And I'm using the same brush that I'd used to pack on the shade Sacrifice. I've just cleaned that brush off before going in with the shade Sacred Fire. Then I'm going in with the yellow shade Faith. And just going above the Sacred Fire shade just to blend that out. The yellow didn't show up as much as I was hoping actually. I thought this would be a lot more vivid because in the pan it looks quite a vivid yellow. So I do use that in my third look and you'll see what I do with that to actually intensify that. But it's not too bad a shade, but it does need to go on a white base to actually bring out the colour. But I think it worked okay in this look in terms of blending out the edges. Then I'm going in with the shade Freedom. And I'm just lining my lower lash line just with a smudger brush. Keeping that quite close to my lower lashes and meeting that up with my outer corner. But I've not taken it all the way into my inner corner because I want to put something else there. I need to leave that space there to be able to do that. Now I've got a brush with no additional product and I'm just blending those two shades together. Then I'm going in with some concealer and my cut crease brush from Sigma, which is one of the best brushes I've got in my collection. Just makes cut creases so easy. So I'm just doing a half cut crease slightly above my natural crease line, and then when I've laid the concealer down in the shape that I want, I'm just patting out the outer corner where it meets the eyeshadow that I'd laid down, just to help blend that in a little bit. Then I'm going in with the star of the show, the shade Aura, and I've wet the brush first with some setting spray and I'm just packing that with a firm shader brush all over my lid space where I've cut the crease. And this shade went on super foiled and I think it's such a beautiful colour. Now for the inner part of my lid space, I'm going in with the colour Myth, which is another beautiful shimmer shade. I'm just using a pencil brush so I can get quite precise into the corners. I've not got much space to pack that in. And then I'm using the shade Freedom to just intensify that outer corner. So I'm just dabbing that onto the outer corner, not really blending it. I'm just packing that over the top of the shade Aura, just in the outer corner area. And then I'm just patting over the shade Aura and the shade Freedom just to blend them together. And then for the lower lash line, just the inner corner of that, I'm using the shade Mercy. I've wet that again with setting spray and I'm just packing that into that little section that I've got left there. I've done my wing liner off camera and then I'm going in with the Barry M eyeshadow topper in the shade Luna. I'm just taking that on a really precise eyeliner brush and just lining the top part of my half cut crease just to about the centre of my pupil, so from my inner corner of my eye to the centre there. Doing the same on the other eye. Then going in with Better Than Sex mascara on my upper lashes. And Bad Gal Bang mascara on my lower lashes. And I'm going in with an Anastasia Beverly Hills matte bullet lipstick in the shade Kiss, which is a nice pinky nude shade to balance out the intensity of the eye look that we've got going on here. And here's the finished look. For look number 3, I've gone in with a white concealer and I've just packed that all over my lid space right up to my brow bone. Then I'm going in with the shade Saviour and I'm just packing that into my crease as a transition. I'm finding this shade really good as a transition shade. Just blending that out. It's showing up a lot darker than it did in the first look when I used it because I'm packing it over that white base. Then I'm going in with the shade Faith. And I'm using a packing brush here and I'm just literally packing that all over my lid. It's a matte shade and I'm just really building up the intensity, and it's showing up a lot more yellow than it did in the previous look because I'm packing it over that white base and I've not set that base, so it's still a little bit tacky. I've had to build up quite a few layers. So it is quite a pastel yellow shade, but it did end up looking quite pretty, I think. And I'm going in with the shade Majesty. I'm packing that into my outer corner using that same packing brush that I'd used for the yellow. Taking that into my crease just slightly, up to about halfway, and winging out the shape a little bit as well. I don't want the rounded shape so much that I had in the halo eye. So I want to just create a little bit of a pointed winged out shape. Then I'm just taking a brush with no product on it just to blend that orange shade into my crease, but I didn't want that too intense in the crease. Then going in with the shade Veil, the white shade, and I'm highlighting my brow bone quite intensely there using that shade, and then just blending that into the orange crease that I'd already laid down. Then going in with the shade Unruly and that lip brush from Urban Decay that I use, and just putting that very close to my lower lashes and getting it to meet up with the Majesty shade and almost like winging that out, but from the bottom of my lash line. Sometimes I find that helps to actually get the wing shape. You're sort of following the shape of your lash line, and it helps to know where to sort of stop with the wing. Now I'm just blending out the edges of that, and then going in with the shade Mercy and using that as an inner corner highlight. I quite like how that look with everything else being matte. It just added a little bit of a sparkle to the inner corners. Then going in with my Better Than Sex mascara by Too Faced. And my Bad Gal Bang mascara for my lower lashes, and then this is an Urban Decay lipstick in the shade 1993, my absolute favourite brown shade. If I'm ever going to wear a brown with a look, this will be the one that I use. And that's the finished look. Okay guys, so that's all the looks. I hope you enjoyed seeing me create them. I'd love to know which one out of the three was your favourite. I think number 2 was my favourite, and the reason why is this colour aura. This blue was so gorgeous. I did spray my brush to get the intensity. I always do that though with my shimmers, but I just love that shade. Also really love the shade Mercy, the pink that I've got in my inner corners right now. That's a super pretty colour. The white is pretty intense. The yellow, as you saw in my third look, I decided to pack it over a white base because when I've tried it in my first look, I think it wasn't very intense. So I thought if I want to use that, I'll need to bring out the colour. And I quite often do that with my shadows that I know are more pastel or lighter colours, just to make them pop a bit more, and that definitely worked for that shade. But I love all the grungy shades on this side of the palette. If you want a warm crease and then a pop of really beautiful shimmer on the lids, you've got all of that in here. So I think there's lots more that I could do with this palette, and I'm looking forward to playing with it more off camera as well. It's definitely my kind of palette, this one. So I got mine at Beauty Bay. I can't remember exactly how much it was. I think it was £31. And for that, I think it's really, really good quality. And as I say, I think it would make a good travel palette for me. For neutral looks and looks that are a bit more out there. I think I could create a lot more vivid and bright colourful looks than even those that I've done in this 3 looks 1 palette video. So if you want to see this one sort of in my regular rotation, me to do some more looks with it, then also let me know down in the comments if that appeals to you. But otherwise, that wraps up this 3 looks 1 palette video and a sort of mini review on my thoughts on the palette. So thank you for watching guys, and if you enjoyed what you see, I'd love it if you would subscribe and become part of my little corner of the internet here. Other than that guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!